All right. Hello, everyone. I think we are live. I just got my little confirmation there that we are live. Turn that off. There we go. All right. Welcome to day 5 of lives this week. Today I have a special guest for all of you. My beautiful friend Rini has so graciously offered to come and talk to us about her healing experience. So today, as everybody comes in, say hi. We will just kind of, her and I are just going to talk. And if you have questions, post it in the comments. And yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. So let us know when you come in. And we're excited to hear all about Rini's experience. So Rini, thank you for being here with us today. And thanks for being willing to do this for me, because it's not always easy, because we're talking about deep healing stuff that is kind of hard to share sometimes. So know that I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for coming and being willing to share today, because I know that our session together was a very deep session for you. It wasn't just a walk in the park. So I'm excited that you're here. I appreciate you sharing your experience with all of my group, because I know that you will help somebody today, and I know that somebody will see you and go, oh my gosh, if she can do it, I can do it. Like, so I'm excited that you're here. So why don't you, I'm just going to let you go, because you have an amazing way of talking to people and connecting with people, and I love that about you. So I'm just going to kind of let you go, and you can just kind of explain your experiences. And if I have questions as we go on, I'll just kind of butt in and ask you. But anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, hello, and thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. Like Gina said, my name is Rini, and I am a healer myself. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and body worker in Portland, Oregon, and I do my own kind of energy healing as well, treating trauma. And so, I always do my own work. And so I was doing my own work, and stuff was coming up, and I had been hearing great things from other people I knew, Gina, about your sessions. And so I just had a really strong sense to go in, and I didn't know what to expect. Because like, people's energy healing is different. But I knew that I was going to be there. And I think what immediately struck me about you was just how you showed up with such authenticity, such presence and such honesty. I remember the first thing you said is like, whoa, it's like I was hit with a wall of self-doubt, which is so true. Like I have had this kind of self-doubt my entire life, 4 decades. And I'd been working on it for, a long time, over 20 years for sure. And just, so much came out of that session. And you have this way of really tapping into everything that's going on, and yet you have this way of really selecting like the really key areas that need to shift, and you come with such honesty of what's happening, and yet have this you have this way of holding it with such love, and having some brevity as well. So it's just this really wonderful balance that really allowed me to really open up and allow the deep healing to work. As a healer myself, I've done a lot of healing, and sometimes you go to a healer and there's some like resistance. It's just like they're pushing, they're pushing or prying, and it wasn't like that with you. You were just there with such, I'm just going to hold this really powerful space to you, for you to do whatever you need to do. And through that, I have done, I would say, some of the most profound healing I've ever done in my whole life. So, I've done little bits at a time, which when you put that 30 years together is a lot of work. but the kind of work that we did in that, time was kind of weird. So
90
I don't
minutes.
know if it
Yeah.
was 90 minutes. Yeah. I'm like,
Mhm.
how long was it? But in that short amount of time, it was like we went right to the root and addressed it at the root. And I was able to make huge changes, with really restructuring my relationship with my parents completely. And, going from a place of afraid to show up and afraid to, speak my truth and hold proper boundaries, to now confident that I can hold my boundaries and return to having and rebuilding that relationship in a more loving and supportive way. Um, I was even surprised at the response that I got from my parents, that I was able to hold my boundaries, and instead of kind of initiating a whole, like chaotic, argument or things like
Yeah.
that, it was actually met with respect and love. And I feel like a lot of that was how you really were able to guide me into like the vibration of how to be as I'm approaching this,
Mhm.
and it's that honesty that you bring and that honest reflection that I was able to have because of the container that you had.
Yeah. I know I've been told that I'm able to totally kick your ass and hold you and love you during the whole thing. And you don't even
Yeah.
know that your ass has been kicked, but it's not like a painful thing. It's like
Yeah.
we just do it. The thing that you said to me, because we talked and it wasn't for a couple of weeks after your session, because your session was really some deep stuff. And I
Yeah.
remember even saying to you during the session, no, we're not to the bottom yet. You thought we were at the bottom, and I was like, no, we're not there yet. Like, we still got more to do. And then afterwards, when I talked to you a couple of weeks later, you're like, I didn't even really have to do anything. The relationships kind of morphed themselves
Yeah.
into what I was desiring because my vibration changed, because of that healing, because of what we did.
Yes.
You weren't actively out there telling people, now this is how you're going to be, and this is how, when you come to my house, you didn't have to do any of that.
Correct. Yeah, it was like digging something out from the root, but it wasn't painful. Like
Yeah.
it didn't have to be this painful process. And I think I like resisted for so long because of this anticipation that it's going to be really painful and, like really take me out for a while, that I couldn't afford to do it. But in reality, it like you said, being kicked in the butt, but in such a loving way,
Mhm.
just this real and being really held. And in addition to what this container you provided and the healing that you did in the session, your availability for the aftercare as well, like that was so important, that when I did kind of, and I wouldn't even say it was a bump on the road, but like as I started to feel a little insecure on that integration level, like you were just there, I think again for another hour or more, just
Mhm.
to like really help kind of clean up. Because sometimes it is like that, right? Like the
Yeah.
integration can be messy.
Yes. I was
Right?
just going to ask you about that. That is my next question. So, when we talk about this healing, so I was just looking at our
Yeah.
comments to see when we talk about this healing, it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that somehow that like we're gonna go have this magical session and we're gonna walk out of it and it's gonna be like roses and we're gonna be like tiptoeing through and that is not what this is
Yeah.
like, correct? Like, so
Yes.
talk to me a little bit about your integration. Talk to people about that period after the healing session before we feel like walking through the tulips again.
Yeah, totally. So that, that process, and I've learned from experience that it's really important to be in that process and allow it to unfold and to let it unfold how it's going to be. And so for me, it allowed, I did a lot of crying and journaling and things like that. But what was great is that, for the longest, I just considered I wasn't a crier anymore. I used to cry when I was a kid a lot, and I was pretty
Mhm.
sensitive, but then as an adult, I just kind of shut it all off. So to me, like the fact that I could cry through the integration was evidence that there was some huge healing that had happened. So just that ability to let it out and not continue to stuff it was already showing me like, oh no, things have already shifted.
Yeah.
And then I was able, I was able to like really, I wrote a letter to my parents that was really powerful, really speaking my truth. Um, and again, I didn't censor myself, and I didn't have to like lash out and be angry. Like I could just be really like honest and forward, and yet, loving and respectful at the same
Mhm.
time. And so it felt really good to take that action, when I did get to that space. And it that integration time, I would say it probably was like 2 weeks of really kind of focused integration, where like each day I'm like, okay, how am I today? How am I today?
Mhm.
And then, it's amazing to me that it only took 2 weeks
Yeah.
because of, dealing with, it's stuff I dealt with for 40 years almost, so it's like the fact that in 2 weeks I was able to get a healing, integrate, reach out, respect my boundaries, respect where I'm at, and like have the confidence, like having addressed that self-doubt. And I had self-doubt that crippled my life. Like it wasn't it wasn't little bits of self-doubt, and just I show up now in a totally different way. And in all aspects of my life, like in my career, in my intimate relationships with my family, with my kids, all the different aspects and places that are important to me, people are like, whoa, like, even from like 3 months ago, they're like, wow, you are a totally,
Mhm.
like, you're showing up in a totally new way. And so it's had a huge effect on me. And it's not all been pretty, but it wasn't like when I allowed it to be messy, it wasn't actually as messy as I was
Yeah.
anticipating. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did, the type of healing, I mean, there's, as you and I both know, sometimes we do different types of healing in the sessions. The primary thing that we did for you was inner child healing that day,
Yeah.
which I think is absolutely one of the most deepest, profound things you can do for yourself.
Yes.
It's also the messiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we go back and we talk to this little inner child that, and I said this earlier this week in my lives, I'm like, I used to make up fun of people who were like, yeah, I just tapped into my inner child, and now here
Yeah.
I am like, let's go back and let's talk to that little girl, like we gotta work this stuff out, because she needs to feel loved, and she needs to feel like she matters, and she needs to feel all those things so that we
Yeah.
can show up in our adult world feeling like we matter and feeling like we are loved and that we are cared for, and learn to care for ourselves better. So
Yes.
talk to me about just a little bit, and you don't need to go into any details because our healing is very private. I believe that our intimate details keep, but talk a little bit about the inner child healing as much as you want to share, however you want to do that. And let's talk about that for just a second.
Yeah. So, and like all healing, right? It's like each person does it in their own different way. And so I had done some inner child healing, and had, that little girl had, that's like kind of what had come up, in the couple weeks prior, why I actually seeked you out, because she had come up and I saw that there was some real like potent work to do, and yet I didn't feel like I had that kind of full, like, full follow through in those previous healings that I got with you. And so what I love is that, in this process with the inner child, I was able to, get that feeling of her, and actually like kind of remember that the way she looked and felt, like just the energy she had. And but it was definitely outside of myself kind of experience, like, that kind of disconnect from my spark and from my essence. And what I would say has definitely happened is more of this integration, that happened through the session. And even now, like I'm able to tap into those aspects of myself that I could see in her. And now I carry her and those aspects with me of having more joy, having more time for play, like just in, just having that. There's the word that came to me when I saw her was exuberant. And that was like
Yeah.
that kind of like bubbly exuberance, like being able to reintegrate that into myself has been so important. Yeah, just in so many different aspects of my life, of just really remembering, the things that I'm passionate about, like singing and dancing and all these things, and moving my body, and all these things that I had kind of not maybe completely shut off, some of them completely shut off, but some of them just I wouldn't prioritize. And now it's like I remember that I have that. I remember that that's when I stand in my power, and that she and I are the same, and I think that integration has been huge for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was just looking, if for those of you who are on, if you have any questions, post them in the comments. Tell us hi. We would love to hear from you. So is there any other part of this, Rini, that you feel like we're not sharing, or anything else that you would like to add to it? Because I don't know. I just look at your healing as one of I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it when I see people who come and they are so hungry and they're so ready for healing, and we do the healing, and it because they were ready and they were hungry and they were ready to listen to the hard things, because sometimes we don't always want to hear the hard things, and sometimes we're afraid to relive our stuff. Oh, this is where I'm being told to go. Did you feel like you had to relive your stuff? Because that's my next question. It's like,
Yeah, I did not feel like I had to relive my stuff. And I agree with you, because I think that's such an important um barrier to address. And and I think that there's this myth out there that you have to relive everything to heal it, and you don't actually have to do that. And we didn't have to do that. I mean, we got into the energy of it, but we didn't have to bring back all of the story, or even you just totally, you just kind of know that it's there, which we already do, right? We
yeah,
already feel it. And so you just go to that place that just is like, okay. And then what I love about working with you is like, I mean, we covered so much ground in 90 minutes, and that's why the time felt like, I don't even know how much time it was, because it was like 20 minutes. It could have been a day. I don't know, because it's like we covered so much ground, and we didn't actually have to, like, it's like sorting through your closet. Like, we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to go do
no,
and like, okay, here's this messy closet and we have to sort through it all. It's just kind of like, okay, say we had this, like, we used our magical powers and we're just like, okay, clean that up. Okay, now we're just like, okay, and now
done.
what else needs to be cleared? Okay, we'll do that too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just kind of go and do. Yeah, it was so wonderful. And I also want to add, um I consider myself pretty sensitive and pretty, like, particular. Like, even in acupuncture school, like, I would not work with just anybody, like, I read people and very quickly, and I'm like, okay, yes, okay, maybe, definitely not, you know
Not,
what I mean?
yep.
And so I would consider you, Gina, a high healer, a healer that I put 100% of my trust and faith in.
Mhm.
And I don't do that lightly. That's not something that I, could would confidently say to anybody that I've not met before, that
Mhm.
yes, Gina could
Mhm.
be an excellent healer for you. And I would have no doubt saying that 100%, that you can transform people's lives in one session.
That just like I'm like, thank you. Like
Yeah,
that just because
yeah,
that is what we're here to do. This is what
yeah.
that's what I've told people this week. I'm like, this isn't like, let's go do some emotion code kind of healing. We are not, this
No.
is not what we were talking about. This is like I want to get to the deep, deep nitty gritty. Let's go get your issues and let's get this done, because
Yeah.
and healing isn't always one and done, but when you can cover that much ground in 90 minutes and not feel like you've been ran over by a train, and not, I mean, there is an integration process, but not feeling like you've been ran over by a train, and be able to clear that much junk out, because that's really what it is. Like, we just
Yeah.
cleaned out the entire closet in 90
Yeah.
minutes. Like,
Yeah. Totally.
and we just used it. Yeah. So thank you for saying that, because that's how I've always looked at this, is like, this isn't, this is deep, deep healing. This is like, get to the core of it and be done with it kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. So
Yeah. And it's now been, I was looking back, I think that was February that
mhm,
we had our healing session. And when I look at that, the fact that it's not actually been that long, and yet, like, I just can't even imagine. I just can't believe how much has shifted in such a short amount of time.
mhm,
Because I remember talking to my sister, and she's like, how long are you going to not talk to mom and dad? I was like, I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to take, because you don't know how long
no,
integration takes, and you don't know how long it takes to move into forgiveness. And,
no,
it's like it can take years, decades, right? And so I just said, I don't know. And, realizing last month that I was like, yep, I'm there. I'm
no,
confident. I feel steady, secure, good foundation, and that was the work we did, really, was clearing the foundation. I know that came up in our session of just like, it's like I was building this house on this crumbling foundation, and I'd been like, the work I'd been doing is like maybe just changing pieces of it out and patching it here and patching it there. And it's just like, no, no, no. When you've got a crumbling foundation, you just actually need to demolish it, clean slate, start again. And to be from, February to May, like 3 months, within 3 months,
mhm,
to feel like you're just still patching, to go from like, oh no, I have a solid, secure foundation. Um, yeah, that's that's like unheard of. Like,
we
really.
did talk about that too in your session, because I remember you saying, you're like, I just, and you even mentioned that to me, like, I just feel like I'm walking like on this weird, I'm in
Yeah.
this weird place where I'm walking across the boulders instead of, and I'm like, well, good, bring in the dozer and let's be done with this shit. Like,
Yeah.
because we cannot build from a rocky foundation.
Yeah.
You're going to build your house on cobbles and,
Yeah.
rubble from leftover house from the last person. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
so. That's unheard of, right? But we do that in our lives instead of really going, what, this isn't working. How about we start over? And how about we figure out what we need to do so we can start
Yeah.
building different foundations, so we can build different boundaries in our lives with people in our lives, that things need to change. Like, and
Yeah.
so sometimes that requires starting over. And it doesn't matter if you start over at 20 or at 40 or at
Right.
60. Like,
Yeah, totally. Any age. Yeah. It's like every day is a new day, a new opportunity to start. And, and we do this work in layers. And, so I feel good that I've done, you know, I had been doing some layers of work, and yet you don't have to have done that, because that's how life is.
yeah.
You are always working on clearing, whatever's ready to clear,
Mhm.
whatever you're ready to clear, like that's what will clear. So you won't, you don't have to be afraid of going too deep, because there is not, it's like it'll only clear what's ready to clear. And I love the beauty of that, you
Yeah.
know.
That's what I tell people too. I'm like, we can't go we're not dumpster
Yeah.
diving here. It's
Yeah.
like, you will only get what you're ready for.
Yeah.
There is no other way around it. We don't do
Yeah.
anything else, because I won't see it. I won't see that, because you're not ready to do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
So, and
Totally.
there's no reason to do that if you're not ready for it. That's a waste of our time. Like,
Yeah.
we can only clear what we're ready to clear at the time that we're ready to do it. So, and you
Yeah.
showed up and you were ready, and that was why we had this beautiful transformation, because it's not all just about me all the time. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
it
totally. Yeah.
takes someone who is willing, who is coachable, who it's okay to say the hard things to, who it's okay to say some things to, that, hey, you know what, we need to look at this a different way. Let's
Yeah.
restructure this. Let's look at this a different way and do the healing on it and see if we can't do some different things. So
Completely. Yeah, it's
But
definitely co-creative. And, I feel like that's where, it's great because when you resonate with somebody, it's like, yes, go in that direction, it's like that's definitely the direction to go, right? That's our divine wisdom,
yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, is there any last thoughts? I think you've like covered it all. I don't even know if I even need to say anything because I'm
Well,
over here going, oh my gosh, like I want her healing.
yeah, I mean, I think one thing, for me, I'm looking forward to this weekend with it being Mother's Day, and my kids are all excited it's Mother's Day. And I know I saw that you have a Mother's Day sale going on and things like that. And um, I think that is such a wonderful like gift to give, whether it's for yourself or, if you're gifting it to somebody else, because I think um, there's just so much potential, and just like there's just so much from working with you. It's been such a gift, that and it's like getting my life back, so
Wow.
it's like there's no more powerful gift than someone could receive,
Yeah.
so I would just say, if you're thinking about it, jump on it,
This
it,
is the weekend to do it. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I was
really.
just thinking, I was like, there's 48 hours left, ladies. Like, get in or get out. Like,
Yeah.
and it will never, this won't happen again. Maybe next
Yeah.
year at Mother's Day, but this will probably not ever happen again. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I probably by next year your packages will cost more, I'm guessing.
yeah, I'm sure they will. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, because it's just, I can't think of a better gift to even give yourself. Can you? Like,
No, I can't. Yeah, there's just, it's like the quality of my life, it's just like my confidence, my relationships, it's everything. And not just how I show up for other people, but how I show up for myself.
mhm,
I went to the mall to return something yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I need some moisturizer. And then I was like, oh, and I had no qualms investing in myself of
no,
like, just like some self-care things that I didn't need, but they were like a nice splurge for myself. And
yeah,
I can tell you, I wouldn't have done that 4 months ago, and if I did do it, it would have been after much like scrutinizing and going back and forth and feeling guilty, and it's like, no, none of that. I was just like, oh my gosh, I could really use that. That would feel really wonderful for myself. And then I did that, so it's
yeah,
like, that ability to just show up for myself and appreciate myself is just something that, that's priceless,
yeah. Well, and you and I both know that it takes courage to put ourselves out there, to spend money on ourselves. You're
Yeah.
just describing that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And I've done it too. I've paid lots of money for healing sessions, but you know what, to me, they're priceless. Like,
Mm.
and you're saying the same thing, like just investing in yourself. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine, like, and now because I've done it multiple times, I'm like, I can't imagine not. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
no, I
It's
just can't imagine
non-negotiable.
that. Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
unnegotiable. It's like this isn't I need it too. I need to fill my cup up. Everybody, we need
Yeah.
to do that for ourselves. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your kind words today, and it's been an honor to work with you and to get to know you this year. I'm like, I really have just met Rini just this year, and I freaking fell in love with her from the moment I met her, and she's done some things for me too. So Rini sells some amazing things. I just had an astrological report. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Astrological reading. Yeah.
Reading. I just did that with her just this last weekend, like blow me away. Like I had to go tell all my people about her too because I'm like, she does some awesome stuff. Like I freaking love it. So I just think you're amazing. Trish is on. She said you're both amazing. So we'll say hi to Trish. So I am super excited. I appreciate you taking time to be with me because I know you're just as busy as I am and it was a little crazy scheduling, but I absolutely appreciate that you were willing to come on today and talk to everybody and share your experience because I know it's not always easy to share our healing experience. So
Yeah.
know that I appreciate that. Do you have any final comments before we say goodbye to everyone today? So
Just so much love and enjoy Mother's Day and,
yep.
yeah.
Happy Mother's Day. Go buy yourselves all a fantastic gift. And I hope it's the gift of healing for each and every one of you, because you all deserve it. Everybody deserves. The thing that I'm being told to say before we left, and I remember when Rini, the day she came to me, and this is the part that people don't see. And they show up and we get on a Zoom call and it's kind of like, well, I really don't know what's wrong, but I really just don't feel well. And I'm really just kind of hanging out, like, and it's kind of been there, like, and you had a little more insight into it than that, but that's kind of how we come in, like, it's kind of that. And then when we're done doing the healing, this is what we get. You can see Rini's face, like, it is lit up again. There's light in her eyes again. And even though she hadn't even went through the total integration process yet, that had already begun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beautiful thing. I can look in someone's eyes and go, yep, we're good. Like, because it starts right there. It starts in the eyes. And the light comes back. The lights come on again. Sometimes they've been off a long time. In your case, they had not, because you are very self-aware. And this was just something that was just heavy for you, that just needed to go. Like, it was time. It was time. It had served its purpose in your life. So yeah, that's the part that I see that is so transformational. I'm like, I can see it in someone's eyes before they ever get off a Zoom call with me, ever. Like, yeah, they'll be good. It's gonna be a rough day or two, but they're gonna be good. Like, I hope your integration is easy, because some people it's not always easy. Like, but it's okay and it's good. So I appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for being on with us, and thanks so much for sharing your story. And thanks to everybody who watched us today. And again, if you want to get in on this out, you can go to my website, ginastroll.com. You can book your package there. It's Healing Mother's Day 21 is the code. Super easy. So I hope you all have a fantastic Friday. Please enjoy your Mother's Day weekend. Put your feet up, take a bath, do something cool, because mother or not, doggy mother, wannabe mother, whatever it is, we're all women in our own right. So take care of yourselves this weekend. So I love you guys, and we'll see you soon. There we go. All done.